Let's switch over to the Brewers here that are running away with the NL Central. They're pretty much in. I think they're what, seven up, 7.5 up. I think.
9.5 up now on the Cubs.
Oh, just kidding. 9.5.
Yeah.
All right. So Willie Adames is obviously a huge part of this in their offense. He ties Ken Griffey Jr. for the most 3-run homers in a season with 13.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of 3-run jacks. And then also part of that success is my rookie of the year pick. He's not going to get it because I think Jackson Merrill is going to take it in the NL with the stretch that he's been going on. But he's 2 homers shy away from 2020 before his 21st birthday. And that's significant because no one in Major League history has done a 2020 season or had a 2020 season before their 21st birthday. I got to see this kid play for the Carolina Mudcats down here in Single A, right outside of Raleigh. And I actually knew the Carolina Mudcats hitting coach. And I got to talk to him before the game. And he told me about Jackson Churio before everybody even know. I think I even brought him up to you guys after I went to that game. And you could tell even in Single A that this kid was going to be a stud and a star.
Yes, he's talented.
And yeah, he's very good, fast, great outfielder, good with a stick, just great all around. But yeah, I never would have thought that no one's had a 2020 season before their 21st birthday, though. That was kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, that is surprising.
I don't know, man. 2020 is pretty impressive, and to do it at such a young age, I mean, it's you got to play a whole season for the most part, right? I mean, no one gets 2020 in a half a season. So I mean, it's the consistency is showing up every day. It's being in the lineup every day. It's making adjustments at the plate. It's getting on enough to have the opportunity to get the stolen bases. I don't know. To be able to do that before your 21st birthday is incredibly impressive. Even if he doesn't actually make the milestone, like to be this close, this young is something.
So my immediate thought when I heard that, I go, Andrew Jones. I was like, Andrew Jones had to have been close.
Close, yeah. Was he close?
21st, his 1998, he was 21. Oh. He hit 31 and stole 27.
Okay.
So
he was close. I mean, he did
was
it
close.
at 21.
Right, but Jackson Churio's doing it at 20. Like, yeah, crazy.
So it's funny. So that got me thinking before we started the show, and I was kind of looking around. You've got a bunch of guys who are like on the edge of or have actually already hit some of these milestones. So you got a guy like Jose Ramirez who's at 34 and 34, probably not going to reach 40-40, but here's a guy who's going to be 35-35.
I'm shocked that J-Ram has 34 stolen bases, to be completely honest.
I know. He's not necessarily known as a speedster, but so here's a guy who's going to be 35-35. Jaron Duran is now a 2020 guy after a home run the other night. Jazz Chisholm, 2020. Bobby Witt is 2 steals away from 30-30. CJ Abrams is 2 homers away from 2020. You've got Brenton Doyle's a 2020 guy. You've got Lindor, who's a home run and 5 steals away from 30-30. Zach Neto, 2020 guy. You got a fair number of guys who have popped into this category of late. And honestly, like, it was usually the stolen bases that held people back because nobody stole bases. Now all of a sudden we're seeing steals like crazy. Stolen bases are now a thing again, and it's awesome.
I love it.
It's completely changed the game.
It has changed the game. So my question is, does that downgrade these 40-40 seasons? Like being able to steal bases at this rate because they've put these rules in. You know what I mean? Like, does it downplay a 40-40 season because of these rule changes?
Like the pitch clock and you can only throw over twice, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Like, does that, because we've seen such an increase in stolen bases due to the rules, does that diminish what a 30-30 or 40-40 season is?
I don't think so.
I've heard.
You think it does?
Well, so I've heard 2 arguments to this, and I'd love to get your take on them. So the first one, I've heard some people say, well, yeah, clearly, like if Ricky Henderson had a pitch clock, he would have stolen even more bases. Like if you had given these guys, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, a pitch clock, steals would have been off the charts. Okay. Second thing I've heard is that the pitch clock has become the equalizer. Because when Ricky Henderson was stealing 100 bases a year, he wasn't facing guys that threw 98 and catchers that had 1.8 second pop times. Like they're saying that the way the game has changed, it became impossible to steal a base. So now the pitch clock has become the equalizer and made things a little bit, have made things possible that previously weren't. I don't know that I buy either argument, but they're interesting.
Yeah. I mean, do I think it's easier to steal bases now? Absolutely. Do I think I could go out and steal 40 bases? No. I don't think
50,
I even have
50 for you.
Well, why do you think it's easier? Because the rules you're saying have made it easier?
Yeah. I mean, look at it happened in the Diamondbacks Dodgers series. Corbin Carroll's on first base. They throw over the third time. They don't pick him off, and it's a balk.
Yeah, it's a
so
balk.
I mean, like,
right.
Yeah, Joe Kelly did that.
Yeah, after you throw over that second time, you can get another extra half step to a step, still be able to get back to the bag, and then just take off.
Shohei stole a base today where the pitch clock hit 1, he took off knowing the pitcher couldn't come over, and he was 3/4 of the way there before the catcher even had it. Like there's games you can play, but a guy like Ricky Henderson got to jump like that anyways because of how well he read the pitcher. So it's hard to say that like completely changes it, but I do agree. Like you now know when the pitcher has to throw. You know how often he can actually come over. You know if he comes over twice, he can't come over again. You could lead halfway there if you want to, because he's got to come get you. Yeah. Like there's definitely some nuances to it.
But that's the scenario you guys are talking about. Like that's only when it's managed poorly that they've already thrown over twice. So pitchers are now. You're not just. I mean, this is only a handful of years ago you would see, let's say, a Jaron Duran is an example. If this was 3 years ago, they would throw over 3, 4, 5 times before the first pitch. So I don't know that it makes it easier. It only makes it easier when they've thrown over twice before, and now you can get that extra lean, that extra half a step, that extra jump. But to Harrison's point, I mean, guys are throwing so much harder. Now the ball's getting to home plate so much quicker. The catchers are so much more in tune with the pop times and getting the ball down to second base. Like I really don't know. I would have to look at it and really kind of dive deeper into it, but I don't know if it diminishes a 30-30 or a 40-40 season. I mean, dude, 30-30 is insane. You swipe 30 bags, you swipe 30 bags.
You go deep 30 times. You go deep 30 times.
Right. Unless like 25 of those are off those balks, which is just not the thing, right? I mean, like 30 swipes is 30 swipes. I don't know. I think we might be reading into this a little bit too much.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's definitely parts of the pitch clock that have changed the strategy. Like when a pitcher has to deliver because of the time that's left. Doesn't mean they can't still throw over, but like there's no longer like the standing there and like freezing a runner. Like you've got to do something. So like
that's like changed.
The window's closing, something's got to happen. But I don't think that it necessarily, like to Sean's point, when they've come over twice, well now you've got them pretty well pegged, and that's really on them for not using it very well. But at the same time, with guys throwing 100 miles an hour and 1.8 second pop times, that we've got a handful of catchers this year that are at a 1.8 or better pop time. That was Johnny Bench and Ivan Rodriguez. Like that was the best ever pop time. Now you got a handful of guys that are at a 1.8. Like the game has just changed, and there's some ways this is working like an equalizer because steals were gone. You think of like the last before the pitch clock, go back 5-6 years, there was 3 guys that would steal like 30 bases a year, and it was gone. It had gone the way of the dinosaurs. People didn't steal bases anymore. They just couldn't, and it wasn't worth the risk because the way the game was played. Now it's a big part of the game, and honestly, it's a more exciting game because there's constant movement.